Let's review. Today we're talking about faces, edges, and vertices of our solid figures. If you don't already have your lesson out in front of you, go ahead and grab lesson 13.2, which is RW 74. When you're ready, press play. Solid figures have faces, edges, and vertices. A face is the flat surfaces of a solid figure. An edge is the line segment formed where two faces meet. And a vertex is formed when three or more edges meet. The plural for vertex is vertices. See that word right there. All right, first we need to name the solid figure. What is this solid figure? That's right, it's a cube. All right, now we need to decide how many faces this cube has. Remember from the video, she reminded us that there are faces on the front, but we should not forget the faces that are on the back. So we have a face right here, we have a face right here, we have a face right here. But we also have a face on this side, we have a face on the back, and we have a face on the bottom. How many faces does this cube have? That's right, it has 6 faces. Let's do the same thing for the edges. We have an edge right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 edges. To find the edges of a cube, the top face has 4. The bottom face has 4. The top and bottom faces are also connected by 4. So you can count how they're connected to the top and the bottom. You will still get that a cube has 12 edges. And that never changes. Now that you know a cube has 6 faces and 12 edges, it'll never be any different. All right, now to count the vertices. We count the corners. There are 8 corners on this cube. Let's see if we can find them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices. All right, so we now know that a cube has 6 faces, 12 edges, and 8 vertices. Let's see if we can continue figuring out the faces, the edges, and the vertices of these 2 solid figures. First, what solid figure do we see in number 1? What is this guy? Kind of looks like those things in Egypt, but look at the type of bottom it has. What do we call this? That's right. We call it a square pyramid. Okay, now we have to determine how many faces, edges, and vertices this square pyramid has. Let's zoom in so we can see it a little better. Okay, so we have a face down here on the bottom, right? We also have a face on the back right here on this side and over here on this back. But we also have a face right here on the front. So we have a face on the bottom, and then we have the back face. We have this side face. We have this side face, and this face in the front. How many faces do we have all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A square pyramid has 5 faces. All right, now we need to count our edges. How many edges do we have? All right, it's sometimes easier to trace around them. So let's start here on the base. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming up from that, we have 5, we have 6, 7, and 8. How many edges does our square pyramid have? Great job. It has 8. And then finally, we have to count our vertices. Remember, our vertices are where it comes and the line segments meet. Okay? And there has to be 3 line segments that meet in order for it to be considered a vertice. So we have a vertice right here in the back. We have another vertice here in the front, and over here in the back. Do you see any more vertices where 3 line segments meet, 3 or more? That's right. Right up here at the top, we also have another vertice. How many do we have all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 vertices in our square pyramid. All right, let's try one more together. What do we call this shape? Excellent work. We call it a rectangular prism. Let's go ahead and figure out how many faces, edges, and vertices our rectangular prism has. All right, you ready? Let's start with the faces. We have a face on the bottom. We have a face over here on the side. We have another face over here on the side. We have a face up here on the top. We have a face right here on the front. And we have a face on the back. How many faces does my rectangular prism have? Again, you have 1 on the bottom. You have 1 on the side. You have 1 on the side. You have 1 on the top. You have 1 on the back. And you have 1 on the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 faces on my rectangular prism. How many edges? Remember, I told you it's a little easier to count those edges if you just go ahead and trace the figure. So let's do that now. I have a top, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I have the bottom, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have the edges that connect my top to the bottom. 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 edges on my rectangular prism. Now for the vertices, where 3 or more line segments come together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 vertices on my rectangular prism. Let's take a look again at our cube. Do you notice anything similar? If you notice that a cube and a rectangular prism have the same amount of faces, edges, and vertices, then great job, you are correct. They have the same number because they are a very similar shape. A rectangular prism is just longer. It doesn't have spaces that are all the same size, but it's still put together in a very similar fashion. So if you know how many faces, edges, and vertices a cube has, then you also know how many faces, edges, and vertices are in our rectangular prism. All right, now it's your turn to try this out. You will try this out using lesson 13.2, PW74, numbers 1, 2, 3, and then challenge yourself. What shape is made by what these are called the nets of number 4 and number 5? All right, ready,